But yeah, we were talking about the WPO ESPN broadcast, which I thought went off great. I don't think that there's, people talk about, powerlifting is too boring. They managed in 5 hours to do a 2-flight meet that included, I think it was 15 men, 13, 15, something like that.
Yeah.
They had 10 finishers on the men's side. I don't remember how many on the women's side, but the other flight was all women. Half all-time world record.
Biggest powerlifting total in history, eh?
3102, yeah.
All categories, all everything.
Yeah. I got some people complaining on my Facebook about squat depth. You know what? Fuck it.
People were complaining in the Raw Nationals too about calls. Like It doesn't matter what's happening.
Exactly. It doesn't really matter. There's always going to be people that complain, and so whatever. Particularly with geared lifting, and this is just how I've always felt about it. It's different, even though even geared lifting people will want to say, the standards are the same. No, well, the standards are written the same, but it's kind of like the Constitution.
Yeah,
like
rule book's the same.
Yeah, different judges interpret laws differently. It's the same even with these rules.
NBA basketball, even though some rules are written differently, a lot of rules are written the same as high school and college, but just how it's judged is insanely different.
And at different points in the game, you get different different calls for sure. And how is powerlifting how is powerlifting going to be different than that? Is what I'm saying.
Yeah. There's going to be bad calls. There's going to be good calls. We've talked about it in the past. Like, everyone's so mad about squat depth and whatever happens in powerlifting meets. But, like, if you watch a basketball game, just one quarter, there's going to be the home crowd, the announcers, and your own opinion. There's going to be 10 bad calls.
You're going to see a bunch of travels that don't get called. You're going to get a bunch of fouls that don't get called.
It
just the last 2 minutes of a game, you're not going to see a whole lot of fouls called at all.
And if we did have a hypothetical robot in all these sports, it would kind of take away some of the drama of the sport.
Oh yeah,
or the spontaneity. Like, you wouldn't. Yeah. I don't think you'd be that interested, or as interested if it was like you knew exactly what was going to happen. And it would slow down every game. It would slow down every sport if the hypothetical robot was a perfect ref.
I gotta say, balls and strikes in baseball, though, it might speed things up quite a bit.
It might, but I still think it would take away like a little bit of like the. I don't know, like
it
the
takes
viewer,
the drama away from it,
and the viewer of it, like
because the home plate umpire calling balls and strikes
and he's
is
all
the
fired
most
up.
exciting thing about it, unless somebody hits a home run.
And they're playing the game. They're playing the game. Like, they kind of pause sometimes. Like, we know what you're calling, pal. Yeah, I think it's all kind of part of the show, and especially at a professional level, it is entertainment. Like, it's a sport, but it's a business. And
well, that's the thing with the WPO it was constructed as an entertainment, as a sports entertainment. It's not a meet. It's strongman, the same kind of thing. It's not just a meet, it's an entertainment.
Yeah, and it has to be. It really has to be. Otherwise, no one's going to care. No one's going to watch.
Right.
Any powerlifting.
And there's not going to be any money in it for anybody.
Yeah, which is already the case. So we whatever little things we have going on for the sport. And I'm not a geared lifting fan. I never really have been. I followed it because that's all there was. But you have to support it if you want raw to ever be cool, or barbells to be cool, or for all those on Instagram every day yelling at me like, I wish I had a cool gym near me. Well, if you want that possible, we need to get more just eyes and money in the sport in general.
Yeah, exactly.
Just support what you can. Like, you can be a hater in private, but as positive as we can be everywhere else is probably going to just help us all.
It was interesting for me because I haven't seen a full multiply meet all the way through, and I don't know how long. Really long time. 08, 09.
Yeah, and even
really long time.
Yeah, even 11 and 12 when I started, it was mostly multiply, and you sneak in.
They were raw lifters.
Yeah, hand lifters.
Yeah, and then it flipped hard.
Yeah,
for
the next 3 years it was one multiply guy per meet.
Yeah, and it felt pretty comfortable for me because I've seen so many meets.
There is like if you're there, or if you powerlifting is different, I think, because you watch basketball or baseball and you could have never played and you could be the biggest fan and really enjoy the excitement and drama. Powerlifting, I do feel, if you've like spotted and loaded for a geared lifter in training, and then you're watching a meet, there's like more excitement because you know how he's about to eat shit. Like, you know how bad it's about to be. Whereas if you don't know, like a random, like you grab, my mom or something, she's watching geared lifting for the first time, probably wouldn't be that exciting because she doesn't know how bad they can eat shit.
Yeah, they did segments before each, before when they changed lifts. You know, when
Yeah,
they
yeah.
went from there's a segment before the squats, before the bench, and before the deadlift that it described what it's supposed to look like when you do the thing. They had Brian Carroll doing the demonstration,
Yeah.
and Donnie Thompson did the explanation of it. Johnny was a little nervous on those, but he was on mic. He was great. So
Yeah.
you know, he was a little too hyped, I think, for
Sure.
the video, but he was good on the rest of it. I don't know. I was impressed overall. I could feel their pain. I had like a sense memory of like a really heavy suited squat.
Yeah.
While I was watching these things, because I mean, it's awful. It's terrible.
Yeah, it's painful.
It's great, but it's
Even raw,
awful.
like a max effort raw, like
Yeah.
hurts. I think the other issue with powerlifting long term in formats like this to not be popular is everything that does well is in like stories. Right, like who's the only swimmer anyone knows the name of is Michael Phelps, and that's because like he did multiple events, and then you could tell the story, and he would compete multiple days, if not weeks in a row. Basketball, same thing. You get to know the players week to week by different stories ESPN does, or you just get to see them again. The issue with powerlifting, stories could potentially be really, really good because it brings in tons of different type of people, but the issue is you can't compete. Like they can't have like a league. They can't have a season. Like you can't compete every week.
No,
You probably can't even compete every month.
no, you can't do brackets. You can't do anything.
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
even if the money was there, it would be insanely dangerous to compete every month. Maybe in gear, actually a little safer potentially.
Potentially,
But all of it's sketchy. And then
the poundages, man.
yeah, what do you do? Like twice a year at the highest level is kind of the average competing. So you can't really build a season. You can't build a tournament. You can't build a story through the competition. Like, oh, Jim beat Mike last week. Let's see what happens next week. Maybe he'll get him. Like, you can't really do that.
They did talk about, because this is the second meet back for the WPO. There was one last year. And so they talked about things that happened in that meet and people who, whatever.
Did well or not.
There were some people who got the invite at the last minute, like, 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Who did the meet. James Burdett, who's somebody that I knew for a long time. He used to be a bench only guy. And then he became a 3-lift guy. He did okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Henry Thomason commented on my Facebook while the meet was going on. That was kind of a little bit of a surprise.
While he was competing.
Shauna Mendelson, who has been around this forever. Obviously, her brother is the better known Mendelson, Scott, but competed in the women's side. I think she ended up with 4th or something like that.
Yeah. There's a little cash at the end, or
I believe so, but I don't know what it was.
Hopefully.
Yeah, I'm assuming that it was. But at the very least, everybody got to lift in a way that was super professionally produced for kind of the first time ever. The WPO stuff was produced and it looked good, but like nobody ever saw it.
Right.
It was produced for broadcast or whatever, and then just was never broadcast.
Yeah, and very niche to begin with.
Super. Yeah, it was also crazier because it was on a big stage. This was in a hotel.
Yeah.
Outside of Chicago. No stage. It was all whatever. Yeah. They did the thing that the USAPL IPF does in big meets, where there's a barrier, and so the crowd cannot get close to the to the lifting platform,
which gives you a reason to watch on TV, I guess.
Yeah. And it's kind of the way things should be, I think. But I don't know. I was generally impressed, and I'm not entirely unbiased because Michael's my friend, and I've been involved with geared powerlifting for a long time. But it was kind of a it didn't feel just like nostalgia. It felt like, oh, this might actually catch.
It does interest me a lot just to see how it does, because ESPN doesn't give a shit about powerlifting. ESPN cares about numbers and money.
And that's exactly it.
Yeah, so to see how things go, hopefully towards a good direction, but I guess we'll find out.
The sponsorships that were on screen were, a lot of them were gyms and stuff.
That's cool.
So had I thought about it, I would have advertised this podcast on there, because
maybe
I would have been the one that did it.
We'll be at the championships.
Yeah, I might go in March. I don't know.
Was it Florida?
No, it's at the Arnold.
Oh, cool. Yeah. Who knows?
All right, so we got some questions.
Yeah, Q&A. Follow us. It's on the mic, Instagram, Twitter.
The Jim McD on everything. And this is, in the content production business, this is what's called feeding the beast. When your scheduling is such that you need content and you don't have any, you do a Q&A.
And we answer, because look, we set this thing up for us to be the dummies.
Right.
But we're not total dummies.
No, we're not.
We've been in this game a long time, coaching, lifting, content producing. So we'll try to tackle some of those questions. Always appreciate your guys' feedback, ratings, and reviews on iTunes, Spotify, wherever you listen. But also hitting us up, Twitter, Instagram. That's why we just plug those away. Hit us up. Give us some ideas, some questions you have, and maybe we'll hunt down an expert, et cetera, et cetera.
Our DMs are generally open.
Yeah. I pretty much answer anything that's not weird. So
I kind of do too.
Yeah. This question isn't a necessarily a good question, but I think it'll lead us into a conversation. It's simply why powerlifting, and I don't know if it means for us, for me, for why we do it, or why podcast, or in general. But we did a really good podcast with Eric Holmes and Omar Isoff, and basically talked about is bodybuilding for everyone.
Right.
And I want to do a similar one with us and maybe guests, or even right now, is powerlifting for everyone? Because that's kind of a mantra we've talked about within our teammates and our training, that powerlifting is kind of the sport for everybody, or the nobodies. And in some senses, I think it is. I think it is kind of the sport for anybody. And I'm not some elitist that says you have to have a total or a certain total to be a powerlifter. I don't really care. But, if you're trying to get a little bit stronger in the gym and you enjoy the barbell, you're kind of training like a power lifter. And if you have no other access to fancy equipment, trainers, Pilates, it's probably your best bet, even health-wise. Get a little cardio and get a little barbell in. So my why powerlifting is a little different, but for general, that's kind of why I say powerlifting.
Well, powerlifting is very good at reinforcing strength, building strength. And people of all ages really need that. And if you're trying to be someone who is trying to keep the fat off, you really want to have muscle. And along with bodybuilding, it's a good way to build muscle. It's I think it is a more fruitful pursuit if you decide to compete a couple times at least, because it just gives structure.
Sure.
And it can be great for your self-esteem to get through a meet and do what you wanted to do or close, or whether you win or not, or learn.
Either or you mess up and then you learn something either about your training or how you prepped that day of.
Right.
But I agree. I think, if you're in high school, want to play football, get stronger, look better, play college sports, some type of powerlifting stuff's going to fit you well. And then if you're aging of some nature, or middle-aged, or 20s, 30s, some kind of movement. It doesn't have to be super strict variation of those, but they'll always help you and look better, be stronger, kind of be healthier, bone density, tons of health benefits, mixed in with a little nutrition. So that's kind of why powerlifting for me will always be at the core of something that I do. There was another one I think it asked about like our I don't know. I'm just going to say it myself because I don't want to find the exact question. But it was basically like our why powerlifting. How did you get into lifting? When did you start lifting? Et cetera, et cetera. I can't find the exact question, but lead the way, Jim. When, how, why?
I started lifting in high school. Because I had bad knees, and it was just not a good idea for me to try to play sports. I had Osgood slaughters, so the tendon was trying to pull away from the bone. They hurt all the time. It dropped out on me or whatever. However, if you're in that condition, strangely, you can squat without too much trouble.
Yeah, a lot of injuries that would hurt. Sprinting, playing basketball, something like that don't hurt when you're lifting. Yeah.
And so that's what I did. It was actually even a class, and I took that instead of a regular PE class. And that was kind of all she wrote. I sort of did it as much as I possibly could. Got really into lifting again, like seriously into lifting again in my late 30s, and then started powerlifting when I was 40, 41, something like that, which is late, but not too late. It's never too late, really.
Yeah, definitely not for powerlifting. It's not.
I never accomplished a great deal. I was happy with pulling over 6 in gear, squatting 650 in gear. Happiest, I think, when I squatted 6 in just a squat suit. No, nothing on my knees, no briefs, anything like that. Probably my my crowning achievement,
which is another question on here. Most memorable lift.
That one was probably my most memorable one. That and then when I squatted 650, that was probably another big one. And my biggest deadlift, which is like 617, something like that. 611, 617. That was kind of a big deal. I just deadlifted that day. But I just spent 6 months rehabbing a hamstring, and I honestly thought, am I ever going to be able to do this again? And it,
to hit a PR after an injury.
Big deal.
After rough times, or even just match a PR after rough times, it always feels good. Played basketball my whole life. Played a little bit of soccer growing up. Hit a growth spurt pretty early, so I was kind of the tall kid in class. But 6th, 7th grade, I was still like 5'8". My dad was like 5'6". So I knew I probably wasn't gonna get a whole lot more out of that. Since probably 5th or 6th grade, took it real seriously, and like, wouldn't say I trained for basketball, but I was definitely a serious competitive kid and player. So wanted to play college, wanted to play pro. Dad got me a strength and conditioning coach. Shout out to Dean Durham. And started working with him in 7th or 8th grade, something of that nature. Did a bunch of general stuff, body weight stuff, a little bit of resistance training, a lot of footwork, a lot of hamstrings, just general kind of strength and conditioning all the way through high school. Played a little bit of junior college basketball. I was going to go walk on somewhere. Ended up dropping out, not walking on. Wanted to continue to play basketball, whether it be professionally or go back to college. So my strength and conditioning coach moved to the East Coast. And so I just started doing my own research. I did a little bit of stuff that he taught me, and then started researching. You research how to, kind of get faster or stronger, end up with a barbell in your hand and on your back. So started kind of training that way while I was still practicing basketball a lot, and played like a little semi-pro basketball, like whatever, pro-am or whatever you want to call it. Then I was just over it. I was probably like 21, 20, probably 20. And still played a ton of basketball, but kind of knew I couldn't go back to college. I was just over it. And like, say my day was 70% basketball, 30% lifting. That ratio just kind of flopped. So I started lifting a lot. And then probably around age 20, 21, I started focusing on just how strong can I get, training by myself at a commercial gym when no one was touching a barbell anywhere. And so that was that's kind of what made me start, I guess. And I never, I followed some of the competing and stuff. After, obviously, when you started powerlifting at 40, kind of got connected early on forums and kind of the competition side of things, I think. And I did too, I guess, early, generally in my quote-unquote career, because I started lifting hard 20. I think I stepped into super training when I was 22 or 23. But I never was into it. I read a lot, and I never idolized them. I never watched, strength wasn't a thing for my dad. My dad played college football and rugby, but he was they'd probably do some squats and just go hit people. They didn't really care. They focused on the sport, and that's kind of what I did. So I was never into strength sports, where a lot of people we've interviewed over the years talk about I saw a strong man on TV and I wanted to do that. I never cared or wanted to do that. And so I've competed. I just went to a gym up in Washington just to visit and chat with a bunch of people. It was cool. A bunch of guys, that strong kids, and they watch YouTube or whatever. And they're like, "Oh, are you going to compete this year? Or when are you going to, come back or whatever?" I was like, one, probably never, maybe, who knows. But the other thing I was thinking, I competed every single year, if not multiple times a year, up until this year. So it's not like it's not like I've disappeared for 5 years.
Right.
I did a deadlift only meet a year ago.
Right.
It's just this year, 2019 is the only year I haven't competed with no plans, just because I don't love it. I like training.
Yeah. It's been a while since I competed. There's no way I would do it again.
Nothing? Deadlift only? No nothing?
Nah, probably not. I've just had too much of an issue with the shoulder and my neck and stuff. I just had a whole month of not having neck pain, and then woke up this morning, I slept funny, and I'm dying. Yeah. But what was I going to say? Gear. That was the thing that wasn't necessarily attracted to powerlifting for the fact that everyone was in gear at the time, and knowing that from a body weight standpoint, I was not in a good position. And I knew I was going to have to gain some weight. I need to get back to where I was before I started, to be honest. I did put on 20 pounds or more for powerlifting. Sometimes more.
Everyone does at some point.
Everybody does. Yeah. I need to have stripped all of that off because it's been a while since I competed. It's just, I was concerned at that point in my life too, because I thought if I put this weight on, is it going to be hard to get off? It's like, yes, yes, it's difficult. Yeah.
Mentally and physically.
Yeah, super difficult. And you kind of get used to yourself being a particular size.
Yeah. Or the habits of how much you eat, or eating the whole plate of steak because you got hard training tomorrow, or whatever is much different than a regular lifestyle or regular nutrition.
And the thing with the gear too, I mean, like having extra weight helps with the gear for a lot of people who are not all that strong.
Yeah.
The people that you see who are super lean, who compete in gear and do well, are just fucking strong.
Yeah.
They're just super fucking strong. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
Do you watch cholesterol? So when we talk cholesterol and we talk these things, we have to talk about dietary, whether we're talking about the fat that's in some egg yolk, or if we're talking about our own blood cholesterol, because those are different. And I personally don't watch either. I think I'm young enough. I do have some heart issues in my family genetics, but I do enough cardio. I eat a lot of veggies. But nutritionally, I don't pay attention to a lot besides when I'm in good routine, I'm focusing on my protein every single meal.
Yeah.
I'm trying to get in some kind of fiber daily, a good amount, and then I'm focusing on getting at least a couple servings of veggies. Beyond that, I don't really... I don't microanalyze anything I do.
Shoot, I was actually going to bring an article in here. Maybe it's something that we'll get somebody in to talk about. But some of the diets that are popular right now don't have very much fiber in them.
Yeah,
or none. Yeah, and there was a giant article in the paper today about the problem with that. There's some pretty significant health problems with not having fiber in your diet. I'm sure that people are going to scream and cry and be upset because their diet does not include that. But if I don't know.
Yeah. There's also a lot of maybe no science that shows that fiber is going to do anything detrimental. So I'm going to get it in.
I haven't seen my cholesterol numbers this year. They're usually borderline okay.
Yeah.
And
I think majority of science is also showing us that well-balanced diet, an active lifestyle, your dietary cholesterol is not going to overly affect your cholesterol.
Your dietary cholesterol.
It's not. It's definitely not direct.
Yeah. If you want to bring your triglycerides down, cut your carbohydrates, because they seem to have a relationship there.
Yeah, and just lifting weights may help. Being more active and losing weight may help. All those. So no, it sounds like neither of us pay that much attention to it.
Somebody that or something else that I'd like to talk to somebody about at some point is what's the current feeling about multivitamins. Because I take one. I have a good diet, but I take one anyway.
Yeah.
And I'm seldom sick. My wife gets colds and stuff all the time. She's not a good sleeper, all this business. She's traveling a lot right now, which doesn't help. But I said, why don't you just try it? Just try taking a multi and see if it makes any difference for you.
Again, some of them probably won't ever hurt.
Because they're not crazy physiological levels of stuff. You're not taking multiple of the RDAs. You're taking pretty much at the RDA for most everything.
The only negative I've ever heard is you may not absorb it all. So that just means it was going to be less effective, but not that big of an issue.
Right.
This question is a little odd, but I think we'll attack it. Would you say a good developed back is better than legs? I imagine he's saying a good developed back is better than developed legs, and obviously this all depends on the individual, the goal, and everything else, but I would say that not so much anymore. I think this kind of thought process has gotten debunked, but there was a time I think people thought they really had to specialize in things when it came to the weight room, and the truth is, even for quite an advanced lifter, you can have a very good developed back and very good developed legs quite easily. You may not have to train them both the exact same, and one may lag, and you may have to add more volume or variation or something like that, but you can grow your entire body and work out your entire body pretty dang evenly. So I don't know if you meant like good or impressive or what's more important for powerlifting or what. But you can do both. What's more impressive to me? I don't care. What's better for powerlifting? Both.
Having a big back is important if you want to pull something or if you want to bench something. I think that's a thing. I think just don't have silly small legs unless your genetics keep you from having keep you from growing your legs. That's another issue. You see a lot of battleships out there, man. Guys who are just giant from the waist up and just don't have any legs.
How to train when you have no goals?
Oh, I think you still have to have some kind of goal. Even if your goal is just getting to the gym X number of times a week. I mean, that's a goal. You know, I'm going to work out for this many minutes a week.
Yeah, I was going to say something similar. I would say the two things I suggest to everyone when they start, whether they're into lifting and hit a slump, or if they have never trained anything in their life and want to get in shape or just be healthier, I think there's kind of two things, and you have to decide on one to begin with. One is choose a goal, start chasing that down, and the other option is like just find something active that you find fun. And I think that's the other way that you can stay successful or stay, consistent. Because consistency in any of these disciplines are what's really going to cause some positive change, whether it is strength, looks, or health. And so if you have goals, that's one way, and maybe it's a personality trait, maybe it's a type of human. But people chasing down goals, setting new goals, chasing down goals, if you're goal oriented, will allow you to progress towards those, or I think it's okay to go through phases without goals as well. And as long as you're enjoying yourself, maybe that's a little bit more variation. Maybe you're taking a class, maybe you're playing sports, maybe you're whatever it might be. But that's another way I think you'll be consistent in the gym.
I think that too, the fitness wearables that are out there right now, actually they allow you to gamify this stuff enough so that you don't have to have a big goal. You just let it set your goal and you just try to meet it every day. Something that Jordan Syatt said on the 30-day challenge that he did with eating a Big Mac every day, he was just certain to get his 10,000 steps in. And 10,000 steps is completely arbitrary, but it's also completely reasonable.
Yeah.
You know? He also was eating a big ass salad every day, and I can't argue with that either. That's something that's actually always worked for me too in terms of just overall calorie reduction is a salad. You don't really, there's not a lot of calories to count in a vegetable, and
or a big plate of veggies or roasted veggies or raw veggies. That's something I go to too.
Right. And just enough protein to keep yourself happy. The disease that I was thinking about in terms of fiber is diverticulitis or diverticulosis, which are ailments of the intestine that are not fun. Not fun at all.
At what percentage would your last warm-up be for a personal best attempt or a meet? Maybe I'll take the raw side, and maybe you want to take a gear side, just general ideas, because the gear's a little different. Raw, it obviously depends on your goals happening at the meet. An opener at a meet is a little bit different, obviously, than a personal best. You probably should not open with a personal best, but if we're going for an all-time PR in the gym even, typically I do use percentages, even though that's just a basic way to do it. You kind of got to go by the day's feel, but about 5% jumps once you get to around 80%. So whatever that might be for you, you can take the barbell for 10, a plate for 10, then you start making maybe 10% jumps up to about 80, 85%, 90-ish, I'd probably go a little bit heavier, so I'd go 90 to 92%, 95 to 97%, and those are singles. And then whatever personal best, you just try to kind of chip it. So if you squat 500 pounds, that's 100%. Maybe do 102, 105, maybe 105% of your best. Mm-hmm. And then a meet, it is a little bit different. If your goal at the meet is to have a personal best, then it's still something similar to that. So my last warm-up is still about 85%. And then my opener's around 90%, seconds around 95%, and then I'm chipping my personal best depending on the day.
From a gear perspective, what I would say is this: and I think it's probably true of both. Don't use your gym PR as your last warm up before you take a real PR. You need to be under that by, at least 15, 20 pounds, I think.
Yeah, and the more you compete, the more you know all these numbers.
And in general, in the geared world, you're taking the more standard big leaps. You're not, until you get to the platform, you're not taking just 15 pounds more or 20 pounds more or whatever. And, you up to a PR, it might be a considerable jump to a PR in gear, at least from my perspective.
Yeah. No, I think most people, one, either it's going to be a bigger jump purely because of percentage, but two, I think you just how long you can sit in that gear, how much pressure you can take, and how many loads you can take is probably going to be less.
Yeah. I will say,
because you handle less training and volume. Like people aren't doing sets of 5 in a squat suit, so like what you're prepared to handle is a lot different. Where even if you're a 900-pound squatter raw, you're hitting 800 for 5 at some point in the last 6 months. And so you're just a little bit more prepared to handle more reps kind of in the warm-up room and adapt to it a little bit more. Like the weights feel different on your back.
I will say that when I squatted 650, I had never squatted 6.
Yeah,
So,
which would never happen raw.
Would never happen raw.
Yeah. Getting a little deep here, I guess. Best way to combat self-doubt or negativity?
Oh man, if you find out, let me know.
I think
they're DM.
Yeah, I think they're two different conversations. Self-doubt's one thing. Negativity is so broad, and I agree with Jim on that one. That's like the answer to life or whatever. But self-doubt, I think it is something you can really handle. For me, self-doubt comes in waves for sure, and it depends on the project. It depends on the subject. You're going to face it at some time, some nature in your life. Self-doubt will dig into you. But the best way that I combat self-doubt is or any doubt or confidence in general is preparation and work. So in sport, it's black and white. Powerlifting, if you have a meet 8 weeks from now, you hit every session, every rep, every set, every good night's sleep, every meal on your way to that platform. You're going to be a lot more confident. You're going to have nerves, but you're going to have a lot less doubt, and you can have confidence in your preparation for that. Same thing goes for if you have a presentation at a meeting, you got this boardroom meeting or this marketing meeting, or you're the leader of some team project at work. The more you prepare, the more you study, the more you read up on whatever you guys are tackling, the more you work on that project, the more confident you should be in yourself. So preparation is going to be key for all of those. Basketball, literally anything. A date, the more you plan the date, or the more practice you have interacting with humans, the more confident you end up being in how you attack whatever's in front of you.
A couple of episodes back, we had the dating guy on. And part of the deal is that, it's a game of percentages, and you're sometimes just going to get turned down by life. And
timing and who knows what the hell's going on with the other humans. Like, humans are complex ass creatures.
But if you put a lot of your eggs in one basket and you're sort of staking all of yourself on one thing, and that doesn't go well, then it's hard to bounce back from it. It's hard to immunize yourself from that kind of fear of rejection, negativity, kind of, the attack on your self-esteem. I have obviously been involved in putting things together that were very, very successful, that, provided benefit. And with this show, we're attempting to do that again. And it isn't as easy as it was the first time. And because the market's moved in a lot of ways.
Sure.
When I spent a lot of time looking at the entertainment industry and looking at how people who have been successful with one kind of show or movie or whatever, what do they do next, and then how does that fare? And you would think that if something is super successful here, that it's going to be just as successful here.
It's difficult.
And it's difficult. Yeah, the Game of Thrones guys just canceled their Star Wars trilogy.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. And one of the, speaking of Game of Thrones, one of the pilots that had been greenlit was just a fucking mess, and they were not involved in it as other people involved.
Yeah.
Canceled that. Because, it's difficult to catch lightning in a bottle and to keep catching it in a bottle. The the people who are consistently successful are rare. They're
Right.
unicorns. Everybody does things at times that just don't work out as well, and
it's a little different in Hollywood too because there's so many factors. So it's different to say like Spider-Man 1 was successful and Spider-Man 2. Like, yeah, like Spider-Man's this epic name.
Right.
We're talking about like creative kind of new projects, way more difficult. And when you're talking about like an independent type world, even more difficult.
Yeah. So anyway, I think that it's a journey that we're all on. Is figuring out how to have a consistent self-esteem and keep us moving forward. Not just you and me, but everybody.
I think this question, maybe our last question, we're going to go our opinions on it, and then I think it's going to segue us into maybe not next week's episode, but we'll tackle this one real quick. We'll get off air here and figure out which guest expert we're going to have to answer this. Gamechangers recently came out on Netflix.
Yeah, I haven't watched it yet.
So the internet's going wild. I did watch it, and it's kind of what you would think a documentary on nutrition would be, at least historically over the last 20 years. Very biased, and we've talked about it many times out there. Hopefully you all know, not that you cannot learn from a documentary, you can, but every piece of content anywhere has some kind of bias.
Has a point of view.
Yeah, every human has some kind of bias or a point of view, and then once you get to that level, which is a business, and there's a lot of money involved, not only the production but the sales and distribution through Netflix, to catch ears, to catch eyes, to get to that point, they're probably going to have a very stern point of view. No documentary is ever going to be very popular that says yes and or it depends. Those type of documentaries aren't going to be cool.
Yeah.
And I blame all you humans out there for that. So we're going to find somebody. We're going to get Jim's homework to go watch Gamechangers.
Yeah, I would have watched it.
Yeah.
I'd known that you'd seen it.
Yeah, I just watched it 3 days ago.
Okay.
Because I saw Twitter going wild.
Yeah.
And then we're gonna find us a as neutral as we can nutritionist or dietitian to hopefully teach you guys on it, because I don't want to grab maybe we do actually, maybe we grab a pro and a con dietitian and we do 2 episodes, but I would like a neutral headed one that's not Mr. Meat and a neutral headed one that's not Mrs. Broccoli. Don't get mad about the gender thing. Someone out there is going, why is the girl got to be the vegetable? Shut the fuck up. I don't really care. It just happened that way. So my personal opinion is if that's the lifestyle you like to eat, whether it be morals, whether it be, global warming, whether it be whatever, power to you. Have I thought about it? I've thought about it once or twice. Could I do it? I think so. I don't know if I could go vegan, just because I don't know where I get my protein as much. Like I think I need some yogurt, or I need something. I love ice cream. Like too many things might kick out of my face, but I think I could probably go plant-based if I wanted. The documentary, which we'll dig into more, talks about the performance side of things. That I don't really agree with. That doesn't fit with me as an athlete or as a coach in this kind of strength and conditioning, fitness, nutrition world. Is probably not something I would personally think is causing all these athletes to do it. And we'll dig into the movie later. I don't want to spill too much beans on this episode on it. Would I try it? Maybe. This situation, I might have to be married to one, so then she's cooking all this cool stuff. Would I just do it on my own on the blink of a hat? Maybe not. Maybe for YouTube or something, but I think it's cool. I think there may be some longevity benefits. I don't think there's a lot of performance benefits. And right now it's not my cup of tea.
No, I would agree with you on that. My wife eats a lot of vegetables, but she also, doesn't have a problem eating meat, just doesn't do it like every single day. And we don't actually eat meat every single day. I'm okay with eating vegetarian. What I don't like about vegetarian is fake stuff.
Yeah. Where I don't think I would do that either.
Yeah. I don't need a tofu turducken or anything like that. Tofurkey.
Yeah. You just regular tofu with a good sauce or something.
Yeah. And I'm so here's my story. We can close out with we just don't do poop stories on this show because we've done it to death.
Yeah.
In our previous life. However, I was looking through Twitter the other night, and my friend JT Matherly on his Twitter said, we've been eating popcorn with browned butter, nutritional yeast, and popcorn salt. Popcorn salt's the really fine stuff.
Yeah.
And I thought, damn.
I do love popcorn.
That sounds really good. So there was nutritional yeast in my house, but I didn't realize it at the time.
Yeah.
And so when next I went to the store, I picked some up, and I haven't found popcorn salt yet. I know it's out there somewhere. I'm going to have to Amazon it. So I bought that, browned the butter. Basically, you brown butter by melting the butter, and then you wait until the solids separate, and then you pour the browned liquid off of it. Use that to pop the popcorn. Use that to
taste different or more of like a texture cooking deal?
It's a taste thing. It's and then nutritional yeast. It basically has an umami flavor.
Oh yeah.
So this stuff is delicious.
I believe it.
It was so good. So since then, I've been looking for opportunities to add nutritional yeast to stuff. Like I made rice last night, and I just threw some in the cooker, whatever.
Makes sense.
Turns out, I think I'm sensitive to
yeast,
to the nutritional yeast, in the same way that I am, because a lot of vegans eat nutritional yeast. It's a common component for flavor and nutrition in vegan dishes. In the same way that garbanzo bean flour is a very common substitute for gluten-based, like wheat flour, it does the same thing to me.
Gotcha. Natural laxative.
Worse than that.
Natural space cleanser blowout.
Yeah, exactly. Like I could have a colonoscopy about right now.
Yeah.
So
sometimes I like foods like that. Like I don't think I'm allergic to anything, but even just popcorn has a ton of fiber in it. So sometimes maybe once a week I'll be like, man, I get some popcorn, just clean the system, reset the system.
Just to clean the system.
Yeah. Or a Chipotle burrito.
Yeah.
Because all the fiber in the beans and a little bit in the tortilla. This is just a
little bit of hot sauce.
Yeah, reset.
A little hot sauce will
reset
will clear the decks. Yeah.
Can't be unhealthy.
So I came in here. Actually, I stopped and got some coffee and some decaf beans. I'm dying to try. A few weeks ago I was at the Spartan Fest.
Yeah.
And hung out with Iron Radio guys, and Lonnie Lowry gave me this thing that he's been working on. They're coffee filters that have aminos in them.
Interesting.
Yeah. And so when you pour through, you get it into the whatever. So cool idea, but I haven't tried it because I don't use a drip coffee maker anymore.
Yeah, same.
Yeah. So I'll do a pour over with decaf later in the day.
Yeah.
So I picked up some decaf beans. I got an espresso. I come in here and it's like, hey, I really got to go to the bathroom.
This is pre-coffee.
This is pre-coffee.
Yeah.
I haven't touched the coffee. And I get in here and in this office, there are, 20 offices. 20. Actually, I'm number 21. So anyway, 20-something offices in here.
One bathroom per gender. One toilet in each bathroom. Yeah.
You can't take a shit in a urinal.
Not without getting in trouble.
And some poor fellow is completely camped in there. I kept coming back.
Yeah.
Increasingly urgent.
Yeah.
And I finally decided that there was a really good chance he was just going to die in there.
Yeah.
And that
maybe he had some yeast.
He had a serious problem himself. And so I thought, I will run home.
Yeah.
Is what I'll do. I'll just run home. I'm not that far from home. Typically, it's less than 10 minutes to get home.
And home field advantage always just feels a little bit better.
Yes.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah.
I ran into the elementary school getting out.
There's
completely backed it up.
We're getting bad traffic. Sacramento's,
it's becoming an issue.
Yeah, we got 2 freeways. Everybody's moving here from the Bay Area.
Yes.
So you get a weird 4-hour morning traffic. You got 3 hours that's kind of safe, and then you're right into school traffic that molds into commuter traffic.
Yes. So I got stuck on the way over there, and that's why I texted you guys from the bathroom and said, hey, I'm running late.
You should get an electric scooter. You would have been home quicker.
That's probably true.
No, for sure. I get faster. Me and Connor use bicycles and scooters to get everywhere in town, and it's literally by the clock, the exact same, no traffic, the exact same time as a car. Probably with traffic, we're probably faster.
Really?
Yeah. Damn. At least downtown.
Damn, that's something to think about. And I was faced the which way should I go when I was pulling out? Did I go this way through the residential area? Do I go this way?
Where there's stops and speed bumps. Yeah.
Exactly. So I thought I was making the right choice. I didn't. Everything came out in the end, I would like to say, but
safe
oh
and
my
healthy,
Lord.
But no more yeast.
I got to back off on the nutritional yeast.
Yeah.
All right.
Even though it's delicious.
Yes, it is really good.
Yeah, I love all popcorn.
It's delicious.
Zebra popcorn is probably my favorite though. You throw a little chocolate, a little caramel, all that.
Yeah, like I said, I've been throwing it in rice, I throw it in vegetables,
Yeah,
whatever.
yeah.
But I've been eating it almost every day for days,
Yeah.
and now I'm in trouble.
Yeah. Once a week deal, maybe.
Yeah. Alrighty. Should we close this one out?
Yeah. Appreciate you guys for listening. Hopefully you enjoyed the Q&A. We'll throw these in the mix in between our guests. Be sure, again, to give us a rating review. iTunes, Spotify. Be sure to subscribe. Tell your friends. We appreciate all the support out there. We see the messages. We see the reposts. We love it. And we'll be back every single Wednesday. I'm Silent Mike, 2K's Instagram, Twitter, 50% Facts on Instagram as well. Give us a follow. Potentially we could set up some giveaways or some cool things coming up.
Absolutely. I am at the Jim McD on all the social media, and we'll talk to you next week, after which I will not have eaten quite so much nutritional yeast.